Tweens lets you move things around, whether it's single images or animated sequences. Before you can even tween, you need to make whatever you're using into a symbol. If you tween a bitmap, it'll make a graphic symbol called tween, followed by some number. In newer versions of Flash, you have the option of classic and motion tween when you right-click a frame. Before going over the different types of motion tweens, you need to know how to start one, which is pretty easy. First off, you import a sprite and make it into a symbol. Then you'll need to make 2 keyframes, and then right-click the frame on the left. This will pull up a menu that'll give you the option to make 3 things if you're using Adobe Animate: motion tween, classic tween, and shape tween. For Flash 8, classic tweens are motion tweens, so you can ignore the motion tweens in Animate CC. Now the question is, which one should you use? And most of the time, you'll want to go for classic, since it's based on the same motion tweening in Flash 8, but we'll explain to you why you'd want this over regular motion tweens that are available in newer versions. Motion tweens are the newer versions of tweens in Adobe Animate, and while these are mostly the same compared to classic tweens, motion tweens actually show you the line of motion as opposed to classic tweens. However, you can only pick easing options from -100 to ease in to +100 to ease out, which is a problem if you're trying to do something extremely snappy with tweens. You can also edit the line of motion, just like with the line tool. If you hover over the line with the mouse, you can see it changes like this. Then you can drag it to change the curve of the motion. Also, the way you split up the motion is you right-click a frame and then click Split Motion. It will not do so otherwise, as it'll just continue the motion with a normal keyframe. Most of us stick to classic tweens though. They're basically the same as the motion tweens from Flash 8. Why we pick them over new tweens other than being simpler and more intuitive is because they allow you to open a window where you can manipulate the motion by editing the curve of the motion, making motions more extreme or combine different speeds. Shape tweens are used to turn vectors into other vectors. Be warned, it does not work very well with sprites. Really, you won't be using shape tweens that often. There are some tween options to cover in properties. Whenever you click any frame in between 2 keyframes that are tweened, which you can tell by this purple frame with an arrow line going through it, you can click it and see a bunch of different stuff. You can choose to rotate CW for clockwise or CCW for counterclockwise, and just edit the numbers based on how many times you want it to rotate during the tween, like so. But normally you want to keep it to auto, otherwise you can't tween a rotation. You can do easing to smoothen out a keyframe motion. You can drag the number or enter any number by typing anything that's between -100 and +100. Anything from -100 to -1 is easing in. Anything from +1 to 100 is easing out. 0 is no easing. The closer it is to 100 or -100, the more intense the easing is. So if you enter -100, it'll ease in, which means going from slow to fast. If you enter +100, you'll ease out and go fast to slow. Understanding easing is very important. You can also make these motions more extreme and even edit how the easing works via custom easing. Custom easing is only available if you use classic tweens in Adobe Animate. Once again, if you're using Flash 8, don't worry about this. You can use the motion editor by clicking this pencil icon in the tween editor menu, and then click one of these points to drag it around to create a custom ease. Guided motion tweens are tweens that use a line of motion for the beginning and end point. To create one, all you need to do is make a line using the line tool, right-click the layer you made the line on and make it into a guide layer, grab a symbol you want to tween, and place it on a layer under the guide layer. It'll look indented like so. Then you'll place it at the start of one end of the line, and make sure that the white circle of the symbol is aligned to it. Then make a keyframe of the symbol at the end of the tween, same thing with the center dot, right-click, tween, boom. Now that you know your way around Flash, next chapter will actually teach you the basics of animating, and how things we've covered here will be used in the future. Until then,